Good morning, coalition of concerned Republicans. Welcome to Restoring Our American Republic. My name is Mike Levine. I've got my partner, Chuck Benoit, with us today. And we're going to go into a discussion on data centers today. Today's Thursday, and on Tuesday, the Lake County Board of County Commissioners I want to use the word entertained, but I'm not sure that's the exact right word. But so they experienced a presentation that was given by a data center director from UCF, University of Central Florida. So they came over to the Board of County Commissioners meeting, which, by the way, you can watch those. I follow them on YouTube, and I just put into my YouTube search bar Lakefront TV with no spaces, and it brings up the Lakefront TV channel where you can actually watch the county commission meetings live. And of course, there's also a recording after the meeting's over. So that's a really good way. On Tuesdays, we're broadcasting. So Chuck and I don't have an opportunity to attend the commission meetings, and we don't get to watch them live either. But you can if you're not watching us. But of course, anyway, preparation time for this show's a little bit too. So, but anyway, I highly recommend that you watch the county commission meetings because they're available on your time frame, just like everything else in the world today. Which also is a little segue into just the hyper rapid development of technology, which we're going to talk directly about today. So we're going to get into it. The Lake County Board of County Commissioners has on a future agenda the topic of banning data centers from Lake County. And that was a big part of the conversation at the Board of County Commissioners meeting. And the reason that UCF sent over their experts to present the data center situation to the Board of County Commissioners. And we're going to talk about that today. So let's bring on Chuck, who's our producer extraordinaire. And Chuck is going to walk us through a couple of slides that the UCF team and Florida Power also was available. They had quite a little cadre of experts at the meeting to make sure that all of the county commissioners' questions could be fielded. And Anthony Sabatini, who proposed the ban on the data centers, was absent from the meeting, which changed the entire, obviously, and changed the entire culture of that meeting. It was just without Anthony there, it would have been completely different. But so Chuck, we went through a little overview of what happened at the meeting, and then we have a couple of other things to present to the audience today. So why don't you give us your little opening remarks?
What's interesting to me is, I have been kind of conflicted on this whole AI data center thing because I do believe that it is the future. But I also see how incredibly difficult it could make living near them, regarding I guess noise is an issue, use of energy is an issue, use of water is an issue. And what we're talking about this morning is really the energy side of things. And as you, I think, mentioned in your opening remarks, changing very, very, very fast. And we really do need to look a little more into the future before we make a decision as to exactly where we land in this whole idea of these data centers.
We'll talk more about that as we go through.
Sure.
Right. And of course, it's interesting too to get into an analysis of each individual county commissioner and where they stand on this. And that'll, you really have to watch the whole meeting in order to really appreciate, the comments and kind of the signals on which way these commissioners are going to go on this. And I'll save my opinion till the end. Okay, Chuck? And of course, we're not going to let the cat out of the bag. So let's, do you want to start with those slides, Chuck?
Sure.
Do you think we're ready for that?
Let's get the first slide up
Let's do
here.
that.
And then we're talking about traditional 12-volt data center architecture. So why don't you talk us through that, Mike?
Yeah. So basically, when you drive down the road, this is what you see, right? I mean, you see the big tower, and then you see the transformer, and then the transformer feeds into the plant. And what these guys were saying was that right now they're stepping it down to 12 volts, but that is insufficient to run these data centers. And they went in through, they had stacks of these um, computers, because really all it is, AI is really just a computer that works super fast. So the point that they were making is that every time somebody asks a question to the AI or um, queries the AI, that is an immediate, it taps onto these data centers and these racks of processors. And that's what creates the demand for energy. So, I mean, Chuck and I, we could sit here and ask 5 questions to AI over the course of this program. And that's just us. There's millions of people, hundreds of millions of people, right? That are, or billions, actually, if you look at it at a global scale. So basically, this is what we're seeing right now. You get the typical, energy generation plant. It goes up onto the big wire cable situation, into the transformer, into the processor. But now we're not going to step it down. Okay. And that's what creates this heat, right? It's just amazing, because now you're going to get like 80% of the total capability running through those power lines going directly into these data centers, which is an enormous amount of energy. So that's where we are now. So you want to show the next slide, Chuck?
Okay, so we
So
have
again,
now
this is, go ahead, Chuck.
the future AI data center architecture. And again, this is a little bit, I guess, more efficient is probably what I think.
Yeah, so pictorially, if you take a look at the difference between this slide and the previous slide, no transformer. You see that, Chuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, no transformer, right? You're just going to, boom, you're going to direct all that power, in its raw form, almost in its raw form, directly into this data center. Okay. So that's kind of where we are, right? And then this is, the future AI data center power supply, which is coming off the grid, the same grid that we, also known as ratepayers, are on.
Yeah.
So this is where we are, and this is the future. This is what they're calling the future, but we're going to talk about the real future in another minute or two here. Right, Chuck?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So basically, let's go to the next slide, Chuck. Okay, Chuck. So why don't you cover this for us? Just kind of go
Sure.
through. These are the challenges that we as a society are facing as we address what most people, I think, would say is the requirement to put these data centers into service. Because if we don't, we won't, we just won't be able to keep up with the rest of the world, is what the argument is. So, Chuck, let's walk through the challenges real quick.
Well, we have, again, grid capacity limits. And
There you go.
that's the idea that utilities can't keep pace, et cetera, et cetera. Transmission bottlenecks. Yeah, these aging 50s era transmissions lacks the capacity for the concentrated hyperscale demand. Power quality issues, near perfect power quality is needed. Cooling and thermal density. And again, rack densities now exceed 100 kilowatts. Traditional air cooling is failing that need. Capital and land scarcity, obviously, and regulatory and ESG pressure. So those are the 6 major challenges of facing the AI industry. What say
As
you?
cited by UCF, right?
Yep, right. This is a
Yeah,
UCF
exactly. So notice again,
presentation.
go back to the original, to the previous slides, right? The traditional versus future, the big difference is the elimination of the transformer, which goes to perfect power, which means that power is just unadulterated, just piped directly into this system because they need that steady feed. So, that is a massive again, it's like as President Trump has said many times, or that it's just unfathomable that in the United States and every market around the world, every major market around the world, the demand for energy will double or triple. And these data centers are on us now. So we're talking about doubling or tripling the demand for energy now, which is massive. And I want to tell you, Chuck, after you go through all of these challenges, for me personally, I mean, of course, all of it's a problem. We certainly don't want ratepayers, average citizens, utility bills to triple, which could easily happen. We don't want to dedicate a significant part of our water resource to these data centers for the purpose of cooling. And there was a conversation at the county commission meeting about closed loop cooling and stuff like that. Water, basically you keep the same water running in the system. Some of it evaporates. You could have a leak in the system. So the only time you'd have to bring new water into it is if you either evaporated it out in the form of steam or you have a leak or something like that. Right. But at the end of the day, we know as citizens that these things typically don't go exactly as planned. So the water resource is a major concern. So those are two major concerns. And then, of course, in my background, I mean, do you really want to see miles and miles of basically industrial space? Because that's what these things are. These things are literally, I think, and again, I also want to inject into the conversation, Chuck, that the Florida legislature, did they pass it? SB 484? I think they passed it, Chuck, which would be a requirement, that the data centers, do not cause ratepayers to subsidize the cost of energy to the data centers. And they go through the specifications on, what is a large scale consumer of energy and stuff like that, which was also discussed in the county commission meeting, Chuck. Yeah. So my point to you here before I turn the microphone back over to Chuck is that I'm really concerned just about the land, just the absorption of land, right? And then we can talk about that specifically if you'd like to, Chuck, but I'm going to turn the microphone back over to you and see what you have to say so far.
Yeah, well, I guess again, not to change the subject by any means, but the absolute ludicrous solar power, these solar farms, etc. Again, competing for land and being absolutely or practically useless in creating the power that we need. I mean, we generally are kind of caught midstream in this attempt to go solar and this attempt to generate enough power for these AI plants. It's a catastrophe, and Florida needs to back way away from their solar farm plans and possibly get rid of a few that are already up.
Well, before the end of this broadcast, we're going to take solar power off the table. Okay, Chuck?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
solar power would be like a thing of the past, right? It would be like
I
a distant memory, right? Something
yeah,
that it was just some nightmare that we had
yeah.
a dream
Similar to
one day.
windmills, not
Similar,
windmills.
windmills,
Yeah,
let's not make them similar. Let's make them included,
yeah,
right? So
right.
really, alternative energy sources, these renewable energy sources are going to be a thing of the past. And if Chuck will rein in my ranting, then we'll be able to get that through within the 30-minute block
Okay.
of this time thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm concerned, but keep in mind that if you put a huge data center, let's just say that you were to, and it's a nightmare to say that you'll take industrial land, I mean, agricultural land and flip it over to industrial and then put miles and miles of this massive building, which is literally, I'm not exaggerating when I say miles. These things are miles long,
Yeah.
and they suck up hundreds of thousands of square feet of just the building, not to mention the land, right? But my point would be that and again, you got to look at the economics of it too, Chuck, because they talk about job creation. And yes, when you're building these massive things, and obviously construction jobs are going to go through the roof. But once these things are turned on and they're operating, it doesn't require a lot of labor to run them, Chuck. It really
Yeah.
doesn't. So the job situation is great for construction while these things are under construction, but the number of employees that work at these massive facilities is a very low number, Chuck.
Yeah. Well, it's probably okay to move on to our next item here, which is President Trump speaking regarding this very issue. So we want to listen to a couple of minutes of this.
I think we have to.
Okay, well, let's go.
Let's hear it from the president, Chuck.
Today we follow through on an announcement I made in my State of the Union address last week as America's largest tech companies officially signed the Ratepayer Protection Pledge. It's a big deal. It's going to have a tremendous impact on electricity costs. We're bringing down all of the costs. We have this little interlude to do what we have to do because we had it going, but these interludes are very important, especially this one. But the economy has never been like this. We broke 50,000 on the Dow. People thought we wouldn't do that within the first 4 years. We did it in the first year. And we brought 7 on the S&P, 7,000 on the S&P. They said that's even less likely to happen. And we did that too, all within the first year. Under this new agreement, big tech companies are committing to fully cover the cost of increased electricity production required for AI data centers, and that would be prices for American communities will not go up, but in many cases will actually come down and very substantially. Because, you know, the data centers, and you people are so big, you're the biggest in the world, but they've developed a little bit of a bad public, they need some PR help. Because people think that if a data center goes in, their electricity prices are going to go up, and that's not happening. It's not going to happen. And for the areas where it did happen, it won't happen anymore because they never had this alternative. It's actually going to mean the prices come down. You're going to see how badly they want. Some centers were rejected by communities for that, and now I think it's going to be just the opposite. This means that the tech companies and the data centers will be able to get the electricity they need, all without driving up electricity costs for consumers. This is a historic win for countless American families and will also make our electricity grid stronger and more resilient than ever before. So that's part of it. It's going to be strengthened up, and they're going to be getting a lot of excess electricity from the data centers where they build their own plants. They're going to be creating their own electricity.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete.
We're pleased to be joined today by Speaker Mike Johnson, who's got
That's over, Chuck. We need to turn that off.
a difficult job, but he does it as easy as anybody I've ever seen do that job. It's never easy when you
Turn
have
it off.
Mike, I'm not hearing you. Did that screw something up?
Yeah, it's over. We
Yeah.
got what we wanted from the president.
Okay,
So
yeah.
basically, what the president just said is that there's a ratepayer agreement with the Google, the major, you can think of the players in this space, right? I mean, you're going to see Amazon, Google, a lot of, I'm not that up to speed on all of the players in the AI space, but there's going to be, obviously these major global companies are the ones who would be building these data centers. But the point is that the president has already put in place that they can build their own power sources on site. And that's a big deal because then when they're going to produce more energy than they actually need on site, and they're going to pump it back into the grid, which is going to reduce the cost of producing power for the traditional power producers that we have now, because they're going to just feed it into the grid from these data centers, which will lower the cost of production for the electricity providers now. So again, I'm sure that they're going to they'll probably buy that power from the data center operators, which, that's all just worked out in business. So that's the president's view of why we should not be opposed to data centers based on the cost of energy, Chuck. Now, we still haven't dealt with the water problem. We still have the enormous absorption of land that we have to deal with. We still have to deal with electromagnetic forces, noise, etc. So we're not greenlighting this just for those people who are opposed to data centers, which I've been one of those people, and I just use the word but, which as a salesman, I know that when you say but, you negate everything you said right before it. So I'm just saying on the record that I am not signing on to data centers based on the information we have right now. But what I really want to do, Chuck, I guess at this point, do you think, Chuck, it's ready to go into the next phase of our presentation today?
Well, sure.
All right, let's do that.
Okay.
So before you start that video, Chuck,
Yeah.
I just want to say that this company that we're about to run a video from, this company is called TAE. And I can't seem to find what the TAE acronym means, but they are a nuclear energy provider. And what they've done is they have, basically nuclear energy is produced by fission, by separating atoms. And these guys, and this has been in research for a very long time, I want to say 20 years, that various different companies around the globe have been working on nuclear fusion, which would be combining atoms, not splitting atoms. And these guys at TAE are saying that they are ready to bring a commercial, saleable use of nuclear fusion to market for commercial purposes now. That is what they're saying. So let's just run through this real quick, Chuck. We'll play this little 2.5 minute video, and that should be able to give the audience an idea about what TAE has accomplished, Chuck.
TAE Technologies is developing the cleanest and safest approach to commercial fusion power. On its mission to deliver abundant and carbon-free energy, the company has designed a breakthrough machine called NORM that creates and controls plasma with greater efficiency, accelerating TAE's path to bring commercial fusion to the grid. Fusion is what happens when lighter elements smash together to form heavier ones and release a huge amount of energy in the process. Harnessing this energy starts with confining plasma, the superhot gas that's like a soup of electrically charged particles. A fusion machine must contain this oozy substance inside of the device and keep it hot enough for long enough to make fusion happen. TAE's design uses a field-reversed configuration, or FRC. An FRC plasma develops its own internal magnetic field, creating a container that, when combined with magnetic fields generated by current flowing in the machine's exterior magnets, holds the plasma together and produces the stable, hot plasma that's essential for fusion. Previously, TAE's fusion research machine would start an FRC plasma with a big bang. 2 rings of plasma launched from opposite ends of the linear device and merged in the middle with a supersonic collision. TAE's neutral particle beam technology would then heat and stabilize the plasma even more. NORM's design removes about half of the hardware and systems TAE used to work with, making the NORM device smaller, less expensive, easier to build, and easier to operate. Now, for the first time in fusion research history, TAE's NORM machine can start, heat, and stabilize an FRC plasma using just neutral particle beams right in the center of the device. The more energy efficient a fusion machine's design, the more clean power can be harnessed for electricity production. The NORM breakthrough marks a major step forward, paving the way for more efficient, cost-effective, commercial fusion power.
So Chuck, let's have a comment from you.
Sure. Well, again, this is the future. This is
now, Chuck. This is not the future.
Well, it's happening now, but it's the future of electricity production. The electricity production hasn't started yet.
Well, it has. It actually has. It just hasn't been brought to market.
Well, okay. Well,
it's tested. It works. They know it works.
Okay, so again, we're just talking difference of the word definitions. I'm saying that
Correct.
in the future, this is where we are going to be getting most of our energy, or a lot at least of our energy. These
All.
small, well, and eventually
Why would you
maybe
do it any
all.
other way,
Okay,
right?
like,
Why would you do it any other way, right? It's just a
right.
matter of converting over, right? Not to mention the fact, as the president pointed out in his remarks, right? Think about this. When we have these massive grids, right, we are exposed to vulnerabilities from attack from adversaries to blow up our grid. Look what we're doing in Iran right now, right? We're warning Iran, say, look, if you guys don't come to the table and make a deal, we're going to blow up your freaking power grid, right? We're going to take out your bridges. You know, we're going to. But so we're exposed to that same threat today because basically power generation in Iran is not any different really than what the power generation is in the United States. But when you have these little nuclear reactors all over the
All
place,
over the place.
right. That means they can take out one, but it doesn't that, like, for example, let's just take Lake County, for example. There are 14 cities in Lake County. Imagine if you had just 14 of these nuclear reactors powering these cities, and somebody takes out the nuclear reactor in one of the cities, that the other 13 cities are still running, right?
And the
So that
power
is a
grid is
major,
the power
yeah,
grid is still united enough to send that electricity everywhere.
exactly, exactly. So, you know, I mean, this breakthrough of fusion energy production, I'm saying, and I told Chuck off camera, and he chuckled, chuckled, okay, when I said this is as big as the wheel and fire, and I
Yeah.
believe that it is. And I think if you think about it and talk about energy production and then make the correlation to fire, you're really talking about the same thing, Chuck.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's massive, and the question is, can we continue moving in that direction? Will we be giving ourselves with the Senate and the House continued presidential authority and get another 2 years of President Trump, such that there's no turning back?
Well, at the end of the day, Chuck, this is not even a legislative or executive branch thing. This is a capitalism free market thing, right?
Yeah, I
When
agree with
Norm,
that,
this
but
machine called Norm, right,
yeah.
is comes to market and starts creating nuclear reactors on site. Okay, keeping in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the nuclear reactor has completely flipped and reversed itself, right? Field reversed, whatever the C is, whatever it is, FRC, right? So it's the reverse of what we've been doing for nuclear, which
Yeah,
is safer,
much
right?
safer. Yeah,
More affordable,
yeah,
smaller plants, etc. So these things literally can be on site, right? And imagine, I don't want to go into it because I've been thinking about this for a long time. But so I'm not going to entertain my fantasies with the audience today. But if you can imagine the potential uses of this technology, it is in fact mind blowing. And I'll
yes, it
turn it over to
is.
you, Chuck, so you
Yes,
can
well,
rein me back in and get me
well,
on the same page.
again, I guess my only concern is if the communists can get in control of our country, we need to be very, very careful, people, who we put in office. And I'm talking to Democrats as well as Republicans. Pay attention.
Pay attention. Right, right, right. So let me just get into the financial piece of this, right? Why
Sure.
does this have like an almost certain probability of happening? And you want to, am I allowed to talk about that, Chuck?
Yeah, you got about a minute before we have to shut things down. And like,
Okay, great. Well, let me just start by saying this is not giving anyone any financial advice. Okay. You know, again, I'm not authorized to give you financial advice. I'm not responsibility for what you do there. But obviously, you guys know that when Truth Social was launched, that was launched under the Trump Media Technology Group, right? And then TMTG, Trump Media Technology Group, has had its challenges, just like every initial price offering IPO has its challenges, right? I mean, you got to get into, I think they're still losing money, right? Trading under DJT on the NASDAQ, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so there, the stock price has been all over the volatility on DJT is off the charts, right? It's like
Yeah.
4 times normal volatility. Okay, so that's that. But of course, DJT, which is Trump Media Technology Group, is looking for industries and businesses. They have $277 billion on their balance sheet in cash, right? So this is the deal. TAE has the technology to do this, and they're ready to bring it to market. And Trump Media Technology Group has the money. Okay. So it's in the works. Anybody who's following this, it's in the works that TAE and DJT are scheduled to merge in the fall. This fall, like September, October, right? So when that happens, basically, Devin Nunes was the chairman of Trump Media Technology Group up until just recently, but he has now stepped down. And basically, when you look at the negotiation between TAE and TMTG, the plan originally was that you would have co-CEOs, that Devin Nunes would stay on as the CEO with this guy, I think his name's Bindenbauer, who's the head of TAE, and they would joint manage the merged organization. But now Devin Nunes has stepped down and he's been replaced as CEO of Trump Media Technology Group. And I'm guessing that makes that a lot easier to manage TMTG after the merger, Chuck. But obviously, and if you want to take a look at it for Trump, all the Trump haters out there, then basically what you're seeing here is that TMTG has an opportunity to just explode and become one of the, like, for example, if you want to take who are the most influential corporations in the world, and you might say Google for sure, you might say NVIDIA for sure, the big chip maker, you might say Apple, you might say Microsoft. I mean, there's it could be Amazon, right? These are the big companies that are trading all the time. They're the ones that are basically advancing technology and directing the evolution of humanity and the universe right now. Of course, SpaceX is obviously involved in that, Elon with Tesla and SpaceX and all that. So that's all going on. So long story short, this is, Trump and Trump Media Technology Group stands to become, one of the wealthiest. Elon, obviously, with the market cap of Tesla and SpaceX, Elon is by far the richest guy in the world. And this technology does put the Trump people right there at the top of the food chain, right, Chuck?
Okay, so we're out of time. Mike, why don't you just give us a 30
That was
second.
my close.
Your close. Okay. Well, that's good.
That was my close. Again, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen,
okay.
for listening to me.
And thank you, Mike, and thank you all for tuning into our twice weekly live stream. Please follow us on Facebook and X at Restore Our Rep 76. Check us out on YouTube at Restoring Our American Republic ROAR. Please like and share the program. And remember, if you're unwilling to govern yourself, you will be governed by tyrants. Until next time, God bless you. God bless President Donald J. Trump, and God bless America.